Don't let other people's projection of you become your definition of who you are. Because at the end of the day, you are the master of your life. You know your life more than anyone else, including your parents or your family or anyone who's been around you. And you know exactly what you need for your life. You might not have the plan at this moment in time, but you are going to be able to come up with a plan, come up with an idea, come up with a way for you to be able to successful in your life. Hello, my wonderful gems. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing. If you're a returning gem, welcome back. If you're new here, hello, how are you? Make sure you set out the vibe, and if you like what you're listening to, then please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so today is another life lesson chat that we're going to have. And what I really wanted to discuss today was projection and how a lot of people in our lives project who they think we are on us. I'm pretty sure you've heard before that first impressions are very important and that people are able to make an assumption of you within like 5 seconds or 7 seconds. All of that is based on projection. And to a degree, I understand, right? Like, especially if you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, whatever. If you've been on this earth long enough, there is certain behavior that you will associate with certain people in your life, whether that is negative or positive. And based on that, that's how we're able to be discerning and make an appropriate, well, maybe not inappropriate, be discerning and make a conclusion about who this person is. But projection can be very detrimental in life. When I'm talking about first impression, everybody does that. We project to a degree. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we all project to a degree with our first impression. But then after you get to know the person, you get to learn about their personalities, you're able to add more onto the person that makes them a fully fledged person. However, some people cannot see beyond their perspective. They cannot see beyond what they have projected onto you. So that's what we're going to talk about. This talk is mostly going to be about projection when it pertains to pretty privilege, but mostly the halo effect. I'm pretty sure you've heard about pretty privilege and the halo effect, and sometimes people use them interchangeably, but I like to separate them because I think even though pretty privilege can get you the halo effect, you can still have a halo effect without pretty privilege. What do I mean by that? I mean, there are a lot of stuff that goes into the halo effect. Obviously, the way you physically present, that's one of the ways. It can be your sense of style. You might not be a quote unquote looker or be what society has deemed to be conventionally attractive. But if you have a nice sense of style that people just like, or an aesthetic that people gravitate towards, you can kind of have a halo effect. And also, if you have an aesthetic that people deem is a little bit dark, for example, in certain parts of the world, Gothic style can be seen a little bit dark, a little bit rebellious. So they might knock you down on that. So, well, it won't be halo effect, but it'll be like anti-halo effect. But you know what I mean. That's from the way you present. But another part of halo effect that is also very important, and that I think my generation and Gen Z and the people behind us and the newer generation have not really taken into effect, is reputation. And the saying your reputation precedes you is such an important thing. It is so important. A good example of this, I'm pretty sure by now you heard of Me Too, Harvey Weinstein. He was one of the biggest directors in Hollywood, or biggest producers in Hollywood. I'm not quite sure what he did, okay? But I know he was revered and a lot of people liked him, and his reputation literally preceded him. So even though he was doing horrific, terrible, disgusting stuff in the background, people thought of him as a pretty powerful man, someone who's gonna get you in the industry, a go getter, a doer, and he had this overall positive reputation that kind of shielded the people in the industry as well as the public, such as you and I, from who he really was, which was a despicable, disgusting person. And as usual, everything that's done in the dark is gonna come back to light. So reputation can really play a big role in the halo effect. And reputation also plays a role in whatever career you are. You can be in a small startup or you can be working a corporate, but your reputation is what is going to get you up the ranks. Your reputation is gonna If maybe someone who is in the upper ranks hears that you are this person and they're looking for a person with a certain set of skills and a certain set of talents that you have, you are more likely to be put up the rank. And there's also like networking you have to do and stuff, because even though they're not going to tell you this, people are not going to hire you solely based on your skills and your talent. Most of the time, they're going to hire you based on if they like you. And it can be very devastating for people who are introverted, such as myself. But I really don't care that much about that right now. But it can be very devastating to be like, to not solely have to rely on your talent, what you bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, humans are tribal. And we don't want to think about it like that, because it's basically the root of discrimination, right? Being tribalistic, just focusing on your people or who you believe your people are. And even though we all want people to accept us for our talents, our skills, what we bring to the table, your reputation and your personality also plays a role into how you will move up the rank. But another downside of that is, if you are new and you are fresh and you don't really have a reputation established to yourself, when you do have a person who has, I guess, a quote unquote positive reputation, such as these people in Hollywood, where from the outside they look great, but from the inside they're rotten, and they turn against you, that could really make you doubt yourself. That could really make you seem like you're not enough, because this person that has this perceived reputation, that is known for being the best in the field, that is known as this person, if in a sense they don't like you or they don't approve you, or even worse, they're actively working against you, it will not only make the people around look at you in a weird way, because they're thinking in their mind, why is this person not liking you? Obviously there's something wrong with you if a person that is associated in a positive light looks at you in a negative light. And a lot of people are going to find themselves in this scenario where, maybe this is my pessimism coming out. I'm a really optimistic person. Okay, I consider myself a very optimistic person, but I'm also a person who is willing to look at the world how it presents itself. I'm not going to romanticize it. I'm not going to put fairy tale color glasses on or rose colored glasses on. I will look at the world and I will look at situations the way they present themselves to me, even though I'm optimistic. This is very detrimental if basically what's happening right now, people who are, for lack of a better term, just not good or evil, but yet they have formulated this reputation of being a good person. If they turn on you and you are able to see them for themselves or who they really are, most people are not going to believe you. Most people are not going to think you're honest. Matter of fact, people might actually turn against you and make your life miserable. So, what do you do when you are faced with people who are projecting on you based on just something that you cannot help? I mean, projection is always something you cannot help. But when it's based on the halo effect, and that halo effect is not towards you, but someone else has that effect, and because they dislike you, that, I guess, that negative energy gets turned on you, and it makes how you're able to navigate your career or your life a little bit more difficult. What do you do? How can you navigate that? I want to say this is when you rely on who you are. This is the root of my advice, because I really want to urge you. I really want to urge you guys and myself, because that's currently something I'm going through. But like I said before, I'm a pretty positive person. I'm pretty optimistic. And I really have no worries that anyone on this earth, as we speak right now, is capable of preventing me from what I'm going to accomplish. There is no doubt in my mind about that, which is why I'm really calm. But if you're in a similar situation where you do not have this calmness and you're entering the workforce or career force, or maybe it's just life or this new friend group, and you don't want to be alone, what do? This is when you go within and you rely on the more positive aspect of your life, if or rely on your friends or your family if they're supportive, because it can be very detrimental when you feel like the whole world is against you. and you don't know what to do. You're alone. You're the only one who's able to see this person for who they are. No one else can see it. You might start thinking maybe you're crazy. You might start to doubt yourself. What I'm trying to tell you is do not doubt yourself. You have that feeling for a reason. And if you've been on this channel long enough, I always tell you guys, feel your feelings, feel your emotions. Your emotions are literally there to guide you into motions. That's why they're called emotions. So do feel those emotions. And even though they can be crappy and it can be hurtful, and people are saying the most disgusting thing about you that do not define you, this is when you rely on your strengths. This is when you rely on your foundation. Your foundation can be your supportive family. Your foundation can be your supportive friends, or your foundation can be yourself. And if you feel like journaling or writing it out, or maybe um focusing on something else and not really making this part a core aspect of your identity, I think that can also help you, because most of the time when we are hurt, when we are traumatized because of either someone has seen us for how we are not, or for how people are just making wild claims about us, most of the time these things sting because we don't have a grounded sense of self. If someone says you're a thief, okay, or you've been stealing stuff and you know you haven't stolen stuff, it's not going to bother you if they call you a thief. I mean, it is going to bother you to a degree because you don't want them to slander your name, but overall it's like, I'm not a thief, I don't care, right? So when things like this happen, it's very detrimental, but it's also very important for us to have that support system. I think this is why it's so important to build community, because these are stuff that are going to happen in life. Unfortunately, life is not just a series of good stuff. The bad is going to happen, and jealous people are out there, and evil people are also out there. So how do you navigate that when you're an authentic, open person, but then you have someone who has this halo effect based on your reputation of being this kind-hearted person, but now, or this goal-getter or this doer, but now they've turned against you? What do you do in those moments? I think it's a pivotal moment for you to be introspective and really focus and hone in on your strengths, on your support system, on the things that bring you joy in life. And it's difficult. It's difficult if you haven't established these things prior to it happening. But feel free to let me know. I'll be your support system. I love supporting other people, especially kind-hearted people who are willing to be authentic in the world. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to say in that regard. And there's also the regard of you being projected on because of the halo effect you might have. Some of us benefit from halo effect, and we don't know we benefit from the halo effect because we might not think we are conventionally attractive, because I think a lot of people in our society conflate pretty privilege with halo effect. And we think because we are not conventionally attractive, we don't have that halo effect. But like I said before with reputation, your halo effect can be also based on your reputation as well as looks. And one of the people I've seen who always have a halo effect, whether it's based on conventional attractiveness or not, have been people who have neonate features. And what do I mean by that? Neonate features are basically people who look a little bit younger, a little bit softer. They literally, quote unquote, look like angels. I don't want to say they look like angels, but in our society, at least in the West that I'm aware of, when we picture an angel, we picture a baby with wings. So people who naturally look more like children, they tend to have a halo effect around them. Some people might want to protect them. Some people might feel like they are in desperate need of protection, or but on the flip side of that, they might also not take them seriously because they look a little younger. They look a little younger for their age. So they might be shut down in a corporate environment or a business world because they look younger. They don't think they have much to offer. But then in the same breath, they are protected. They are given assistance because people think, oh, they're so childlike. And other people who may also have a halo effect are people who look a little more seasoned. I'm just going to use the word seasoned and not say old. Who look a little more seasoned, who will not benefit from the protection and assistance that younger looking person might benefit from, but they will also be heard, and their ideas will also be valued, and their contribution will be seen as legit compared to someone who looks a little bit younger. They will be asked to explain why and given all these reasons. I'm pretty sure if you've fallen on either category, you probably know about this. If you have a younger looking face, people will question you, question your ideas, question if you have any validity, question your degrees, your credentials, all those stuff. But then if you have a more seasoned or mature face, people might not be questioning you in the same regard that they would a younger looking person. However, you might not be giving that assistance or that support because they just think, well, you got it. You look like you got your ish together, so you got it. Why do I need to help you? And in those instances, in all instance of projection, or people projecting onto you because of physical stuff or reputation stuff, it is still important for you to know exactly who you are and to not just be swayed by other people's perception of you or projection of you. It is important for you to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, so that when, if you are younger, you do present your ideas, you know exactly how to back them up. Because unfortunately, that is something that you will be asked. But as the time goes on, the halo effect that presented itself as younger, needing more protection and attention, can eventually turn into a halo effect of reputation where you are the go-to person. They've seen you present these things time and time again to the point that your reputation takes precedence over your physical appearance. And the same thing if you're a more mature, seasoned person, if you do ask for help, you do ask for collaboration, you do ask for other people input, they'll be more likely to do the same thing and be able to give you those resources when you do ask for those resources. When you do ask for those resources, instead of just dismissing you as, well, she knows like she got it, so she doesn't really need that much help. This is why I think it's so crucial for us to know exactly who we are, because the world is always going to try to put us into boxes, put us into brackets, put us into this is who we are. But the human experience and the human life is just so much more nuanced in that. It's just so much more complex. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's just you can't just look at someone and assume all these stuff, even though that's how the brain wants to compartmentalize stuff. I feel like that's like a deficiency on us as people, where we just put people into brackets and we're unable to see the whole person in front of us. We're unable to see how they can contribute to our life because we've limited them to person needing protection, bad person, good person. We just limit people, and then we wonder why we don't have good relationships. Well, duh, you keep limiting people. That's kind of all I wanted to talk about when it comes to projection. And basically, the main point of my advice is just don't let other people's projection of you become your definition of who you are. Because at the end of the day, you are the master of your life. You know your life more than anyone else, including your parents or your family or anyone who's been around you. And you know exactly what you need for your life. You might not have the plan at this moment in time, but you are going to be able to come up with a plan, come up with an idea, come up with a way for you to be able to successful in your life. And however you want to be successful, okay? Some people just want to have a family, that's success for them, whereas other people want to be CEOs, for them that's success. And other people, they just want to have a nice work-life balance where they dabble a little bit into their hobbies, go to work, and then spend time with their kids and loved ones. Success looks different for everyone, and I think it would be better if we just allow everyone, but most importantly, allow ourselves to define our success for ourselves. Yeah. All right, so that is it. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section below. And if you've ever experienced projection, whether it's in a negative or positive light, whether it's because of somebody else who had a perceived reputation who disliked you, or maybe it's just someone looked at you physically and then they thought they made preconceived notion about you. How was it? How did it make you feel? Was your projection ever aligned with who you are? Because sometimes it can be, but most of the times it's not. Right? Which is how we tend to find ourselves in these discussions, or we tend to find ourselves in these uncomfortable places where we're trying to let people know who we are, but they won't accept that because of their own projection or their own perception of who they think we are. Granted, sometimes that is based on discernment and life experience, but most of the time when people are so rigid, it's based on something else. But yeah. So please let me know what you thought. And feel free to visit our website. It's called kitchentableadvice.com. We have blogs where I just talk about anything and everything. We have art that I have labeled Weird Contemporary Art as well as poems. So if that interests you, then please visit the website. Thank you so much for spending your day with me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.